All right. Cheyenne, would you like to count us down to our warm-up?
Oh God, what's the warm-up again?
Oh my God.
The High
Just
School
count us down.
Musical. Let's pause, go watch the entire High School Musical series, and come back.
Does it count back from 3?
3,
It can
2,
be
1,
whatever you
or
want.
5, 6,
Okay.
7, 8, whatever you want.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Brr, brr, ma. You did
Okay,
it. You
I'll
did.
accept
You did
it.
the warm-up.
I'll accept it. That was better than most.
Most guests do not participate in the warm-up until we bully them into doing it.
Thank you for trying.
I tried.
Really good.
Gold star.
Hello and welcome to Outside the Search Bar, the podcast where we try to answer questions without using Google. I'm Jacob Schubach, and I'll turn it over to my sister and co-host.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily, and I'm wearing white after Labor Day.
Why didn't you sing it?
Well, yeah, we need to go back. I wanted to do a bit about wearing white, but you're right.
Yeah, no, do your bit.
I'm Emily, and I'm wearing white after Labor Day because I'm a rebel.
Slay.
Thank you. Each week, Jacob and I are going to come prepared with questions that we do not know the answers to. We both have notes on our phones that are filling up with an astounding number of questions. Astounding. Which is honestly a testament to how little we know and how ill-qualified we are to discuss these topics.
Of course, we would be remiss to not take listener questions. So if you have a tough question you'd like us to answer on the podcast, send us an email to searchbarpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on social at searchbarpodcast. We do have a lot of listener questions filling up in the email, but we're not even going to answer one today. But next time we will. So stay tuned.
We're just really busy. And I know I just said that we don't know anything, but I promise that we're also really smart. So we'll have something to say about your questions.
I got a 5 on the AP Calculus exam, so
So did I.
So send some calculus parabola questions and
Please don't. I hope we get some kid who's like still in high school and it's just like, I need help with my homework. And they just like send us a math question.
I will use like whatever Google phone thing to like search. You know how you can like use your phone to like scan math questions now? I'll just reply with that. Anyways, now that our intro is over, we have the extreme pleasure of announcing our 10th guest. We don't actually know if it's a 10th guest because I didn't want to go back and count, but here we are. Introducing my friend Cheyenne, who I know because we went to college together. Go the University of Buffalo Bulls.
Yeah.
Cheyenne, how did you get here?
How did I get here specifically?
Yeah, what in your life led to this exact moment?
27 years of existing in Buffalo, meeting Jacob, and then Jacob being like, you want to do a podcast tomorrow? Want to record a podcast tomorrow at 5:15? And because traffic is god awful, it could be a lot worse. I just have to drive down Main Street and still my commute goes from 15 minutes in the summer to 35 minutes in the fall.
Oh, I hate that.
Oh, don't even winter. But yeah, so that's how I ended up here specifically.
Put those kids back on Zoom so that our traffic isn't as bad.
Yeah, no.
Cheyenne and I met at the University of Buffalo, but we only became friends when I walked up to her and I was like, listen, we're in a lot of classes together. Do you want to be friends?
I do distinctly remember that. And I was like, I don't know anyone like really all that well. And Jacob seems like he's not a serial killer. So
I was like, you do well in these classes. Give me your notes. That's not really what happened, but... And then I introduced Cheyenne to Moe's, which is an incredible Mexican restaurant. I don't know if you can even call it a Mexican restaurant. Southwestern Grill.
Southwestern Grill.
Fantastic place. I love it. That's what it's called. That's like their tagline. It's Moe's Southwestern Grill. All right. Cheyenne, one thing that we always ask our guests is, what's the last thing you searched for or something interesting that you searched for this week?
So I actually checked my phone before we jumped on to record. And this is a sign that I'm getting old because the last thing I searched for was, how long does Walgreens hold your prescription? Like the pharmacy. And I'm like, because I got like a notification on my phone of like Walgreens being like, your prescription is filled. And like, I feel like they didn't properly migrate like or took in mind like the fact that there's a difference between having text notifications and phone calls, because my parents still get phone calls for like their prescriptions. I get text notifications. you don't need to text me every single day being like, your prescription. Like, I can see the texting history. Like, I opened it. Like, I don't understand why it's still like that. And it just fills me with like that weird, it's like that weird, awkward in between, like, you know, young millennial vibe where you're just like, I really don't want to call to ask them, but Google isn't giving me an answer. And yes, I did Google it, and Google did not give me an answer. It literally just said, online order pickups take 72 hours. That's not the same as a pharmacy. They meant like online orders that you place for Walgreens. I don't know who is placing online orders for Walgreens, but I assure you, your Ghirardelli chocolate is going to be cheaper if you just order it from Ghirardelli and have it shipped to your house. So that was the last thing I Google searched. And it just reminds me that I'm like on the trip to like 30, which isn't that old, but like I feel old. So that was my fun.
Wait, so how many days have they held it?
I was anxious.
Have you picked it up?
This is the thing. I was anxious about the additional text. So I picked it up after work. I was like, I don't want to deal with the additional text. It's like the fear of like my phone dinging and not knowing what it is and just seeing it's Walgreens. I'm like, great. So
we don't know how long the pharmacy will hold your prescription for.
No, we still don't know. It might even vary by pharmacy.
I would assume forever.
Well, that's the whole thing is I'm like, unless the person who got the prescription died, like, what are they gonna be like? Oh, sorry, this isn't yours anymore. Like,
yeah, well, what are they gonna do? Send it back?
Yeah, maybe
like, throw it out.
I feel like
I was gonna say, like, my name's already on the package. Give it to me.
Yeah. The world may never know. If only we had Ryan on the podcast. Ryan from Gay Court is a pharmacist.
Crossover episode.
I'll text him and I'll ask him. Crossover episode.
Again.
Well, I'll text him now, and I'm sure we'll get an answer by the end of the podcast. But until that time comes, let's go to our first segment, which is What's Trending? We still haven't gotten it to say it at the same time, but you know, here we are.
It sounded like it was the same time for me.
It didn't for me.
Oh.
Ooh, there was like a lag for me.
Oh.
Well,
I'll try to anticipate it next time so that the recording lines up.
Thank you. So What's Trending is where we discuss the latest Google search trends from the week and give context, thoughts, comments, concerns, and opinions on what people are searching for. So we actually have a lot of trends that we want to talk about, which is, again, why we're not doing a listener question. So sorry to the listener questions. But the first trend I think we should discuss is the Buffalo Bills, because we are all from Buffalo.
Go Bills.
Go the Bills. So they won their first game.
They
won their second game.
2 games.
Oh, they won two games. Wow.
Yeah.
They won by like a substantial score. I think it was Monday, maybe.
It was Monday.
I actually did see that. They beat the Tennessee Titans like 7-41.
Correct.
My mind. I have the mind of a mastermind.
I didn't watch the game. I forget what I was doing.
I didn't either. I didn't know what was happening.
But I saw the recap in the gym the following morning, and I literally was just like standing in the middle of the gym floor in everyone's way, just like agape of like, let them jump in and throw in and run in and all that. Like, wow, good job, guys.
So like I live in an apartment building, and it's like me and maybe like one other woman in the entire building. So I'm surrounded by a bunch of like old men. So like we're older men. So all I hear is just like the cheers periodically. And I'm like, oh, okay, that means they're probably winning. And then I just wait and try and guess like what the final score is based on like how many cheers and stomping that I hear around my apartment building. So like what either it's the old men around me that are notifying me, or my dad texts me. It's like, oh, Bills. And I'm like, I've never seen a full football game in my life, but I appreciate the enthusiasm.
The context clues floating around you are fascinating, because I'm like, I might go on Twitter and I might see it. We did breaking news. We did just get an answer from Ryan.
Wow.
He says it depends, but usually he'd say a week or so.
Oh, okay.
What do they do with it though?
Oh God, okay. What do they do with it? Do they do with it if you don't get it back? Okay. He said that if you don't pick up your prescription, they archive the script in the system, and then they put the meds back in stock on the shelves.
Okay, so if
are you like blacklisted?
I doubt you would be.
It's like a casino. You just get taken out by Walgreens like pharmacy security as soon as you step in.
All right. So the next trend, I think, also has to do with sports. It's the curious case of Beyond Meat. I believe the Beyond Meat chief operating officer was leaving a sports game. I believe it was a football game. This could be fake news. I don't actually know. But from the headline that I read, I think he was leaving a sports game when Cheyenne, correct me if I'm wrong, but he got into like a fender bender. He like bumped into
like
somebody.
someone like bumped his car.
He got out of the car and said, "I'm gonna beat the fucking shit out of you." Again, paraphrasing. Don't actually know if that was a quote. And then bit somebody's nose off.
Yeah. Really wanted some of that Beyond Meat.
Wow.
Some of that Beyond Meat.
I just like can't imagine how like angry you have to be at like a stranger. Like, I'm sorry. I feel like there's a lot you'd have to do for me to want to put my mouth on you in like a violent way. Like, not to be gross, but what like instinctually with humans, like biting is so far back in like our evolutionary chain. It's like, why would you do this? And of all things, someone's nose, that's so personal. Like, if you bite an arm, it's like arm, like, don't do it. But like someone's face, you have to look them in the eye with the intention of like biting off their flesh. Also, where's the tip of the nose? Did he eat it? Did he like legitimately eat it? Did he spit it out? Where is it?
Ew.
Do you think his eyes were open or closed as he did it?
I feel like if someone bit my nose, my eyes would be closed.
No, would you close your eyes if you bit someone's nose though?
As the biter.
Oh, as the biter. Oh,
I'm like,
I feel like if you're like crazed enough to like instinctually bite someone's nose, your eyes are probably open. Like, you want to see what happens. Like, I don't know this man. I don't know what he did, but like, whenever I think of teeth biting faces, I just think of like bath salts. Like, so I feel like you're probably not sleeping or doing anything. Again, not accusing this man of anything, but like that just like,
yeah, no,
I don't know. I feel like you had to be like on like the verge of mental breakdown, and you just wanted to cause them.
You wanted to bite. You wanted to bite. You wanted to chew something off.
You wanted to see what happened.
Well, best wishes to whoever's in the hospital now.
Yes, please.
/ whoever's in jail now. Wow, great job making the news. Also, like, I feel like if you're like at a certain level at a company that's like a public company,
don't bite people in public.
No, that's like weird for like a rando to do, let alone someone that owns or is like high up on the executive chain of like Beyond Meat. Like, that's really like, it's already like, I'm not vegan, but vegans already get a bad enough rep without like, you know, someone who started a company that vegans might rely on biting people's faces off. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. No. You know what? Best wishes to whoever that PR manager is, whoever that corporate communications lead is.
Oh.
I'm sure they're having a day.
They're
like, can you tell him he doesn't work here no more?
That's tough.
All right. The next trend, which was just trending because it happened recently, and I believe her funeral was on Monday, was that Queen Elizabeth II passed away and had a funeral. Did either of you watch the funeral?
I did not, but our sister Lizzie told me that apparently it was the most televised event ever, and 4.1 billion people watched it, which is the majority of the planet.
Like, I didn't even know 4.1 billion people had access to like cable, because like I don't.
Who?
I don't know. Do you trust Lizzie?
No. What is there? Because I saw a tweet this morning that said 31 million people watched her funeral in the UK, and 37 million watched Princess Diana's funeral in 1997. And people were saying that Queen Elizabeth flopped because she couldn't get the same viewership as Princess Diana. Now, is that sensitive? No. But Twitter be twittering.
I saw this like meme, and I don't know if it's true, that apparently like, I can't even remember what station it was, but it was like all the stations in the UK were showing
Channel 5.
The funeral, except Channel 5 was showing the Emoji Movie. And I was like, I don't know if that was a statement from Channel 5 or like someone just messed up. They were like, someone will stop by Channel 4. We don't need the rights to the Queen's funeral. It's fine.
I feel like the Queen is like one of the emojis in the Emoji Movie. I did watch that movie, so I have vague memories of it, but I'm not entirely sure.
Oh my God.
Did you look up her viewership, Emily?
Yeah. Daily Mail UK said the Queen's funeral is expected to be the most watched TV event in history with 4 billion global viewers.
Wow.
So
perhaps the random tweet that I saw was wrong.
Well, that's global. Didn't you
but
discuss UK? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I know anyone who watched the Queen's funeral.
Yeah, well, we're the colonies. Isn't it like against our nature to be watching the funeral?
Probably.
Isn't it against everyone's nature to be watching a funeral?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely
we still hope that much.
Yeah. It is kind of, it is interesting to think about because like, I remember when my coworkers came in and said like apparently before there was any, and I don't know if this is true, but before there was any like official announcement of her death, like on social or news press, they had just went outside like the palace and hung a sign saying that she had died because that was the last time a monarch had died. That was what they did. That was protocol because of how long she had been alive. Yeah. I think like, what wasn't she like 26 or something like that?
She was queen for 70 years.
Woo! Ooh, so she was like, you know, just thinking about the amount of technology that passed in that time, like how do you even, you know, quantify that or even adjust to that?
Yeah.
But
and she never got to retire. That sucks.
I mean, given the money they were rolling in, I don't know if she minded.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, and she seemed to like genuinely enjoy. Like she was still really actively involved in events and stuff.
And corgis.
And corgis. We love corgis.
Well, R.I.P.
Rest
Queen
in
Elizabeth.
peace to the Queen. Yeah.
And our final trend, Emily, you sourced this one. Do you want to share?
It was on Instagram, so no idea if this is factually accurate. But basically, someone was looking at Google search trends in Russia, and there has allegedly been a huge spike in the search, "How do I break my own arm?" which apparently is related to the fact that people don't want to serve in the Russian army, so they're going to sabotage their own arm to avoid it. And I guess what I'm wondering is, would you break your own arm to avoid going to war?
Absolutely. 100% would not want to go to war.
Well, I feel like I'm like an almost like, you know, 30-year-old woman. Like, I'd hope that I wouldn't, that's like obese. I hope I wouldn't be like someone you'd want to be recruiting. Because like obviously I don't want to serve for like, I never want to have to go to war, you know, and like, but like also if I'm your front line of defense, like you might as well just throw a boulder out there because it will be just as effective. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But I have a funny, like, well, not funny, it's kind of like dark story related to like military drafting, because like my dad was like around the age and time when he might have potentially been drafted, and he had a roommate that lied and said he had received his draft letter for my dad and like let him believe that he was going to be drafted for like a good minute. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Awful.
That's wild.
I don't wish that upon anyone. In all honesty, yeah, my heart goes out to everyone that's dealing with this because I can't even imagine. Yeah. My heart goes out to the citizens of Russia and Ukraine because I know this is not something that they would have wanted.
Yeah. We got to stop letting people make decisions who are like in charge and like making bad decisions.
Yeah.
Really great political discourse. Thank you.
Bad people should not be allowed to make decisions for
bad people shouldn't make decisions like that.
Just like don't make bad decisions.
Don't
like,
make bad decisions. Yeah.
Better.
I was gonna say, if you're like a bad person but you make good decisions, no one will know you're a bad person. So just be a bad person.
Wouldn't you be a good person?
I don't know. There might be some like evil people or like morally gray people that like are still like halfway decent at like being around people that are like good people. So
Dr. Doofenshmirtz. He was evil, but he was kind of doing, you know, some funny schemes. So it's time for the question and answer, the bread and butter of our podcast. We need to come up with a new analogy. The candy,
cereal and milk.
Emily, would you like to present a question to the group that we'll have to solve without using Google?
I would love to. So my question is, why doesn't a plane get wet when it goes through a cloud? And I asked this because I was just on a plane coming back from Boston and we went through a cloud and I was like, wow, this cloud's made out of water. And then there was no water on the window. It wasn't even like, oh, I'm driving fast and it's just like going off. It just like didn't get wet. And that seems bonkers to me.
And what is your initial hypothesis about why the plane didn't get wet when it went through the cloud? Okay, also, was it a white cloud or was it like a gray cloud?
It was like a slightly dingy white cloud.
Unclean.
Like I've had this white shirt
slightly dingy.
Like I've had this white shirt for like 2 years and it's been washed a lot of times. So like it's not pristine white, slightly dingy white.
Okay. And what is your hypothesis?
I didn't think about that. I didn't think you were gonna ask me. I think it's probably something to do with the plane going fast and like it is getting wet, but it's going so fast that it's drying.
Yeah, because I mean, planes go like what? 1,000 miles an hour, 400
I
miles an
don't
hour.
think they go that fast.
They just teleport. It's fine.
I think I would say like 400 to 500 miles an hour.
I would say 432 miles per hour is like their speed.
Okay.
I think if we're gonna guess, we should guess. My hypothesis is that when you go really high in the air, it gets really cold. Therefore, the water doesn't become water because it's too cold.
Then what is a cloud?
Water. You know, that's actually a great question because I don't actually know what a cloud is because, like, I don't know why it's like white and fluffy.
Yeah, it's like, well, isn't, okay, like,
Me looking out the window, like,
isn't like a cloud, like, well, doesn't it take that particular form because it's like not just the temperature, but it's also like the altitude, like the way that the water is pressurized. So I don't know if maybe that's why, part of the reason why, because I do think, to me, that kind of makes sense is because the state that the water is in, it doesn't become actual water until it falls down. So like it'll heat up, but does it have something to do with also why and how the water is pressurized within the cloud itself for it to make those shapes? So like my brain's thinking a combination of temperature and pressure that's preventing it from becoming actual droplets.
so you're saying that the water is in a gaseous state, not a liquid state.
Yeah, like it's like a cold gas. Like that's probably 100% wrong, but that's like what my brain is thinking that it's like, it's just not the right, because it's obviously not like an ice cube, like literally. Google it later. It says clouds are literally just
you go
ice
through a
cubes.
counter, it's just like you're hitting ice cubes. Fair. Because I feel like also when you're on a plane, it's like outside temperature is like -20 degrees. And that's cold.
That is cold. But you're usually above the clouds when it's that cold too. So
That's
I
true.
wonder what the average temperature of a cloud is.
That's a good question.
Frozen.
I would guess 0 degrees Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit, yeah. That's what I would guess too.
Wasn't 0 degrees Fahrenheit 0 degrees Celsius?
Maybe.
No, 0 degrees Celsius is 32 for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like 9/5 times the thing plus 32.
Right.
So 0 is freezing point. So 0 degrees Fahrenheit is the average temperature of a cloud, in my opinion.
And our hypothesis is that it doesn't touch the plane because it's too cold and the altitude is making it a gas.
Yeah, so it's like not
It's like
liquid
pressurized
water.
Okay. Would you like to Google it?
Yeah, I would love to. Why doesn't a plane get wet when it goes through a cloud?
Okay. Would you like to learn about clouds?
Yeah.
I'm on weatherbriefing.com and the title of this website page is called About Clouds. So number 1, what is a cloud? A cloud is a suspension of water droplets, ice crystals, or both in the atmosphere. They're made of tiny water droplets and or ice crystals. Often both water and ice are present together when temperatures are between freezing, 32 degrees Fahrenheit and -32 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's it.
Why did the intro paragraph sound like someone who was trying to extend the length of their essay for like school? Why did they say like water droplets and ice crystals like 700 times?
Because that's what they did. We
Okay.
don't always find like the most factual sources, but like it seems right.
It's fine. So this says the water vapor in clouds that eventually becomes precipitation can reach much cooler temperatures than the usual freezing point for liquid water without crystallizing into a solid. Okay, so it's below freezing, but it's not making it an ice cube.
Oh.
This is because clouds typically lack solid surface areas or dust particles that speed along the process of turning liquid water into ice.
What?
This is because clouds typically lack solid surface areas or dust particles that speed along the process of turning liquid water into ice.
Oh. But like it's saying like if you go through a cloud, you're going so fast that the air particles just move around you because they're not.
We haven't even gotten to airplanes yet. We're just talking
about clouds. Oh boy.
Yeah. So it's trying to explain why water exists in cold, but not as a solid.
Got it. All right. So what is the tea?
It's chaotic, guys. So cloud
Yes.
exists kind of like in a vacuum sort of vibe, which doesn't let the water particles crystallize. There's no solid surface areas, dust particles. Learn that, right? When an aircraft flies through these super cool clouds, which it's saying are between 5 degrees and -4 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
The cloud like shifts around it, like you're saying, and leaves behind large gaps called cavum or fall streak holes.
Great.
The propellers and the wingtips are causing sudden drops in the air pressure and temperature.
Makes sense.
Which chill the water even cooler.
Oh.
To about -40 degrees Fahrenheit, which then form ice crystals because it's so cold. Those crystals fall through this hole that the plane just created and like into like the lower part of the cloud, which then accumulates more crystals and like more water vapor from the bottom part of the cloud and like literally leaves a track of rain behind where the plane is going.
Interesting.
So we can make it rain by shooting planes into the sky.
Yes.
This is how we control the weather.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a matter of how do we get the cloud up there in the first place, but wow.
Right. So apparently this was like first noticed in Helsinki when they were seeing that during like semi-light rainstorms of just like, okay, there's little clouds. Like there are these isolated patches of rain that are just like randomly coming down. And it's because there's like literally a plane going through it.
Oh, that's weird.
Can you imagine if you were underneath that and you're just like, what the fuck?
How many rainstorms have like private jets caused?
Right. But also like, haven't you been like when it's raining and then all of a sudden you're just like, why did it get so crazy all of a sudden? Like, I wonder if that was just like a plane.
Do you remember when those planes used to like, there was like all this stuff about like the blue poop stuff flying out of planes and into like people's houses?
Yeah.
No. I'm sorry.
Basically, when you like poop in a plane or pee in a plane, it goes into like this like cistern type deal.
Yeah.
And it's like full of all these like blue chemicals that like treats it, so to speak, I guess.
Yeah.
And then they empty it when like the plane lands. But somehow it got like broken off or like ajar and it like fell out of the plane into somebody's backyard.
Well, at least it was their backyard and not like their kitchen, you know.
I mean, either way.
It fell in through my open skylight into the middle of my kitchen.
Into my porridge.
Awful.
I mean, either way, human fecal matter is not great.
In a backyard, it could land on like a barbecue grill. So, you know, steak's ruined.
I'd be so mad if you had like a really nice steak and then like just a container of shit fell on it. I mean, the worst.
I mean, yeah, that would be nonetheless blue fecal matter. I also looked it up and it looks like planes go about 500 miles per hour on average.
Oh, I was close.
Emily, do you feel like we've sufficiently answered your question?
I do, and then some.
Perfect. Happy to hear.
Do you have a question that you would like answered, Jacob?
Yes. So my question, I had this morning when I was on my daily hot girl walk. I go on my little hot girl walk for an hour around the neighborhood. And I was going through in the morning and I saw a beam of sunlight in front of me hit a very large spider web. And this has happened to me many times, but sometimes you just be walking into really long spider webs while you're on walks around the sidewalk and doing whatever. And I'm like, what are these spiders doing? Are they trying to build really big webs to trap people? Or like, are they just using that to like, my assumption, I'll go right into the hypothesis. That's a good hypothesis, Emily.
You did not say to trap people when you pitched this question to me before we started recording.
Well, that's one of my other questions on top of this question is like, what is the biggest spider web? Because like, I'm sure there's like some spider in like the Amazon rainforest.
The Amazon.
Yeah, I was going to say Amazonian, but I was like, that doesn't sound right. I'm sure there's some big spider that's like trapping animals. Anyways, my hypothesis is that like they're on the tree branch and they're like, I really want to be on the tree trunk. And so they like lower themselves off of the tree branch. But then like, why wouldn't they just like let go of the strand? Like, why would they go over and attach it to the tree? Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
I wonder if it just like happens because it's like sticky. Like you ever have like a string or something and there's like a lot of static cling and you're just like, it won't get off of you.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what life as a spider is like.
You think they can't control when the stuff's coming out of them?
No, I think it comes out of them, but like it's sticky. So like even if they're just like, I'm done using this, and they like detach it from their butt, like it's just gonna stick to stuff.
I don't think that it just sticks to them. I feel like that's the whole thing about being a spider, is that you don't stick to the web and you can kill things that do stick to the web.
Yeah, but I'm saying it sticks to the tree trunk that it hypothetically landed on. Yeah. I think it's used for like travel, like you said, like, oh,
I really want to be over there now.
yeah. I wonder if they like go off of like vibes of the wind, but they're just like,
yeah, that's what she didn't they do that in Charlotte's Web? Right at the end of Charlotte's Web, Charlotte dies. Spoiler alert. I always say the spoiler and then say spoiler alert.
Oh my god.
And then her egg sac opens up and all the little babies are there and they start putting their little webs into the air and flying away. And Wilbur's like, wait, come back. You need to be spiders here. And they're like, no, we're not going to be spiders here except for the 3 spiders, whatever their names were, who are the leads in Charlotte's Web 2.
There's a sequel?
Yes. Yeah. The sequel is it's a very good film. It's a very good film.
It was like Tina, Trina, and Medea or something.
It was like Tina, Trina, and Arachnid. It was like something weird. It was something weird. Like it was like, okay, that'll be something we
names and then just a scientific
Arachnid.
name.
That's like naming your kid like, oh, this is Jeff, this is James, and then this is Boy.
Have you ever seen a spider egg sac in real life?
Yes.
Not in real life.
Me too, at our house. Remember?
No.
Oh.
She's like, I blocked out that memory. That was
I had one in my apartment.
Oh, they're big.
Oh, this one was pretty small.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I was like 4 when I saw it in the garage, Emily, and it was big. It was big to me. Cheyenne, do you have any thoughts about why spiders might be setting little traps for humans to walk through?
Well, if Spider-Man's taught me anything, it's probably for travel. I agree with the travel theory. I mean, I feel like that's probably pretty much it, because especially if it's a high trafficked area, like a sidewalk, they're not looking to catch anything there. They're trying to get away from there as soon as possible because they know it's a high trafficked area. They're not going to be able to get like a fly or whatever because humans are always walking through here. Yeah. So like, yeah, I would think it's travel mostly. Or it could be that there was a dumbass spider that like left something there thinking that they were going to get food and humans just walk through it. And it's remnants of like their failed like trap for other bugs.
Do you think the spider is more mad or the person is more mad when they walk through it?
Definitely the spider. Like the person, it's like, ooh, it's an inconvenience. But like
with 8 legs.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, think about how much work that is. Like, I don't know how long it takes, but like I've seen time lapses of them making spider webs. Like, that's like their job. That's like if you go to the grocery store and then someone just walks by and knocks all over all of your groceries. Yeah, like, it's pretty much the equivalent for a spider. Like, you just knock over the spider's grocery.
If you're leaving a sports event and someone hits your car, and then you just get so mad, like you should get out and bite them.
And that is why spiders bite people. Yeah.
Okay. I have another question for the group is, what do you think the average like travel distance for a spider in their life is? Like, do you think they stay in like a little radius of like 10 feet? Or do you think they're like exploring the world?
That's so hard because I feel like there's such a range, because to Jacob's point, there are like spiders that are massive that will travel like very far distances in proportion to like other smaller spiders, you know, scale wise. I'm going to throw out a random number, 100 feet, because I'm trying to keep in mind like very short lifespan spiders that might be more of the majority of the population versus like the larger massive ones that might travel more distances.
Are you looking out the window to try to imagine a spider walking? How far could he go?
I feel like spiders don't live that long, like a couple months. A summer for Charlotte and Charlotte's Web.
Yeah.
She lived in a farm, but she did go to the festival, the carnival festival with Wilbur. Didn't she do that?
Yeah. And there's that smorgasbord, burger shirt.
Yeah.
Song with the rat.
I don't know if Charlotte's Web is a documentary though.
Again, we do be basing a lot of stuff off of cartoons on this podcast.
But like with Charlotte like an anomaly? Like, should she not be statistically counted because like she was an exceptional spider?
She should be statistically counted. You know,
Can the average spider read and write?
No.
If they would, they'd probably like put "fuck you" in every single web.
I would be
So.
so scared if I saw writing in a spider web.
I mean,
Several
you probably
questions.
go viral on Twitter. Okay, let's Google it.
I'm gonna Google the average lifespan of a spider.
Okay, so I Googled how do spiders make really long webs that you walk into. Not the best search, but here we are. So I found Quora, and this is from a former technical director at IPM company. I don't really know what that has to do with spiders, but sure. And he's web spinning spiders perched on outer branches or tops of vegetations are able to drift out lines of sticky silk from their spinnerets, which are carried by breezes to surfaces of up to 10 to 12 feet in distance. When it catches onto a nearby surface, the spider is able to take out the slack and use them as guy lines. I don't know what a guy line is, but the spider crosses the upper guy line multiple times, reinforcing it to support the weight and shape of its web.
So you're saying, so a spider goes and then it pulls it taut?
No. They drop the thing down and then it's carried by breezes onto the surface somewhere else. And then when it catches onto that nearby surface, then they can take out the slack and use it as a guy line, which I don't know what a guy line is, but I guess they can walk across it.
There's tightrope walking.
The continuation of this makes it seem like they're actually using that to build the shape of its web. But I feel like we were right when it's like we're traveling across.
Yeah.
So I looked up the average lifespan of a spider, and it says on average, spiders live about 1 to 2 years.
Really?
With the Goliath bird eater, don't want to know what that looks like, living up to 25 years.
Oh my God.
Boy.
I'm going to look at the Goliath bird eater. I lied. I want to know.
I looked up like how far spiders can travel, and I'm just going to give you the headline. This is on fortune.com. It's from 2018. Just the headline said spiders can fly through the air for miles using electricity, study finds. So apparently electric spiders that can travel 4 miles exist.
Wait,
the electricity.
Wasn't that a thing? There was like supposed to be a
I don't think that's a
mob
thing.
of spiders that like flew through the air like a cloud. That was
Yes.
like one of like the COVID bingo board things. Of,
Let's
like,
see, it
didn't
says
think
a
this
new-
was gonna happen.
I did
It
not see
says-
that happen.
I remember, wasn't there like ants that eat electricity or something? Like, is that a thing? Or electronics?
That sounds
Am I
right.
crazy? Like-
Okay, they eat electricity or electronics because I feel like those are two different things.
I don't know. Like, I guess you have to at least be immune to electricity to be able to eat like actively on electronics, right? Like, but yeah, it says something about ballooning. So I think, yeah, you were right about like the whole like bubble process thing. So the rest of the article is beyond a paywall. No, Fortune, I'm not paying you.
Okay.
I found a different article that has the same answer of like they let the spinneret go and like let it float out in the breeze. But the question is really funny because the person said, I found spider webs where there's no access from point A to point B where they've made their web. I've even put up cameras to see how they do it and I can't catch them in the act. And it's like, who are you? Why are you putting up cameras?
So
babe?
determined.
That was from
Wow, they're
2007.
really
Different time.
The adult, what was this thing called? Goliath bird eater spider is approximately 4.7 inches in length with a
Okay.
leg span of 12 inches.
Nah, I'm good. I'm good.
It's
Mm-mm.
really,
What does its web look like?
I don't know.
Biggest spider web ever found.
Ooh, that's
Okay.
good.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Not
God.
much information is obtained in regards to webs, as they do not capture prey in the webs, but instead use venom and strength for this purpose.
Oh, so they just straight be murdering birds.
Strength. Spider strength.
With their 12-inch legs. Nor.
Yeah.
I searched biggest spider web ever found, and the Darwin's bark spider produced the largest spider web ever found and was a massive 82-foot wide web spanning a river in Madagascar.
What? How does that even happen? Like,
I
how do
don't
they
know.
even have time to do that?
Well, if you live multiple years,
True.
damn, that's crazy. 82 feet. Wild.
Believe it or not, the diet of the bird-eating spider does not include birds.
So people just be naming stuff, whatever they want, apparently.
Oh, interesting. So apparently males live 3 to 6 years, but females live 15 to 25 years.
Good for her.
She always looking for a young man. It's a MILF spider.
All right. Well, that's sufficiently answered my question. I feel like I know a lot about spiders that I didn't really want to know, but here we are. All right. Cheyenne, would you like to take us home with the final question of the podcast hour?
Yeah, so my question is, what is really inside a hot dog?
And why do you have this question?
I have this question because, for those who are not from Buffalo that might be listening to the podcast, one of the biggest hot dog brands in the area locally is Salen's Hot Dogs. They're really, really good. I think they're pretty high quality hot dogs, as high quality as you can get something like a hot dog. And I went to get some not that long ago, and there were 12 different varieties of Salen's hot dogs. It really confused me. Yeah, there was skin, no skin, which I was like,
what's no skin?
I don't know. I don't want to know. There was
I feel like the skinless always have skin on them though.
The skinless are lies is what essentially it is. And then there's also I guess apparently there's also I don't know if they've done it yet, but there's a plan for them to distribute to gas stations and stuff eventually.
Ooh.
And then, but also it was confusing because there were pre-grilled ones too. And I was I don't know why I would want pre-grilled. I don't know how I feel about this. Do you I don't know. I was uncomfortable with the pre-grilled ones, but I just went for the standard, original, whatever. And I understand obviously you have beef for people that won't have pork in their diet and stuff like that. So obviously the beef ones might be more self-explanatory, but for a standard Salem hot dog, what is inside of it?
Theoretically or literally?
Blood, sweat, and tears. From kind of a literal sense, and in all honesty, my question is kind of what's in it? And I know my hypothesis is obvious, certain particular designated parts of cow and beef that maybe aren't used for higher quality cuts, that type of thing. But I'm also curious about what is the binding agents that are used in them, because a hot dog's existence as meat is not natural or normal. It's not a sausage where you can see kind of the separate meat type thing. It is a solid thing that is somehow bound together and apparently also comes skinless. So I'm very curious as to what is the components of a hot dog, both in regards to meat specifically, what's the priority meat to put in it, and or type of meat or cut of meat, and then also what binds it.
I eat a hot dog every single day for lunch. I specifically have, I don't know what they're called, but they have cheese on the inside as well. I think it's technically a sausage.
Jacob, there's so much sodium in those.
I know. We talked about this before we started the podcast. I was not thinking of that. I just be eating them.
I feel when I know which ones you're talking about. They're really yummy.
Me too.
But
they're
you
really yummy.
Eat them, and then you wake up the next morning and you can't open your eyes because you're so dehydrated.
Well, I drink a bottle of water every single hour, basically.
I thought you were going to say every day. I was that's not enough.
Once a day, I drink a bottle of water. That being said, as someone who consumes a lot of hot dogs, perhaps too many hot dogs, according to the medical research provided by Emily and Cheyenne, I have no idea what's in a hot dog. It is interesting when you said beef hot dogs. I was beef hot dogs. It feels so different than the taste of a hamburger. What's that all about?
Yeah, exactly. What
I would say a beef hot dog tastes very different than the spectrum in which a beef patty and or a beef steak exists. Those beef steak and beef patty seem closer together than beef hot dog. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, I feel it depends on that. I think is mainly the difference in the cut, like Cheyenne was saying, that you get a different texture.
Yeah.
And different flavor. If it has more fat, it's going to have more flavor. Whereas if you have a really lean cut, it'd be tougher and less flavorful.
Interesting.
I have no idea what's in a hot dog. I don't even know
culinary.
If it's pork. I did get an A in culinary in college, so
I feel like the outsides of it used to be intestines, and I feel we all learned that at some point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Used to stuff the hot dog.
Sausage.
Yeah. But nowadays, I feel there's a pretty solid consistency to the length of the hot dogs that I'm what is the wrapper? Because they also have produced foot-long hot dogs. And it's like, I don't think that's like a foot-long intestine that's just like that.
Intestines are pretty long.
That's true.
Yeah, well, like there are a lot of miles, but like it's like I don't know what to bind. Like, do you just like mush it up enough that like it kind of just binds together? And,
I feel like you don't you have to put it in a grinder and
they
then
turn
the grinder...
that bitch into tubby custard.
Exactly. So true. And
Got
then they stuff it into the thing.
What? Don't do that hand motion.
They stuff it into the casing. The casing. Yes. And then they tie it up in a little bow.
I think it's just so packed into the casing. Like that's what that texture is.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And then like
and it's like so ground down.
It just kind of like coagulates.
Yeah.
So I would guess miscellaneous meat and fat.
They tap the sides to get the air bubbles out too, probably.
Yeah, I have no idea what the casing is made out of, and I don't think I want to know.
Hot dogs are so good, though.
They are really good. I was craving a hot dog earlier.
I want
so
like
good.
a saline hot dog right now, so bad.
Unrelated,
Salen's,
I bought
sorry.
Salen's hot dogs for the family, and John and his dad both really hated it and said we will never eat these again.
Really?
And it caused a big fight. We broke up for about 6 months. Like, yeah, we did.
I don't know what's wrong with them.
We then hosted a party for children in the neighborhood, and they fed off all the hot dogs to them. And I'm like,
those are not cheap too.
I would have eaten them.
Yeah.
I love hot dogs.
They're so good.
All right, shall we Google it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I found an article from Time from 2016 by someone named Denver Nix that says the top 11 grossest things people have found inside of hot dogs.
Oh, don't want to see that.
It immediately like just told me what's in a hot dog, and it says most hot dogs contain nothing more than half beef, pork, or poultry, plus other ingredients like water, added fat, dry milk, cereal. I don't know what that's about. And the preservative, sodium nitrate.
The cereal must be like the binding stuff, right?
I don't know what the cereal is.
So this is from thehumanleague.org. It says emulsified meat trimmings of chicken, beef, or pork blended with ingredients like preservatives, spices, and coloring into a batter-like substance.
Ooh.
The emulsified meat is then stuffed into casings, which are typically made from processed collagen or collagen from animal intestines. So it's still coming from intestines, but it's like more man-made.
Got it.
How do they make a casing? Like, how do they make it like a perfect cylinder like that?
I don't know. They probably take the collagen and like stretch it out, like mix it with other like preservatives and compounds and like stretch it out into a tube thing.
How to make hot dog casing? Oh my god, you can make homemade hot dogs?
I mean, yeah. People made sausages for like eons before like companies exist.
Jacob, I have really bad news for you. A recent study indicates that eating hot dogs and processed meats can reduce a healthy lifespan by about 36 minutes for every hot dog you eat.
Oh my gosh! I've been eating one a day for like years.
Oh no!
How do I reverse it? Is there like an undo button? Like,
I don't know.
You have to convert to Beyond Meat hot dogs. I'm sorry.
I've eaten so many hot dogs.
That's really bad.
Oh man,
That's a lot of time too. Like 36 minutes is like. Wait a minute. Let me see how much time did you take off? Like it's 36 minutes.
That's like a whole episode and a half of TV.
Wait, so you've been having even just 1 year, so 36 minutes times 365. 13,140 minutes.
Okay, divide that by 60 to see how many hours.
Okay. 219 hours.
How many days is that? It's 10 days. That's less than 10 days. I don't
Oh, that's
remember,
fine.
right?
Fuck it.
I'm about to say, who cares? YOLO.
I don't
Honestly, like, here for a good time, not a long time. If a good time is a daily hot dog, then have it.
Listen, if I'm gonna be alive, I should be eating a hot dog.
Yes. No, you have to switch to the Beyond Meat hot dogs, Jacob.
Apparently. Chomp chomp, let me bite your nose. Damn.
Well,
Wow.
do you feel like we sufficiently answered your question?
Yes. I did not. You know what's interesting? Maybe this is like a dumb question because I know like chicken sausage exists, but it never occurred to me that chicken was in hot dogs.
Me neither.
Like I knew chicken
Yeah.
sausage was a thing, but I didn't know they were part of. Like my brain always assumed it was a combination of pork and beef.
Makes sense. Well, that was the episode. I think we did a great job. Perhaps I'll stop eating hot dogs as much. Maybe I won't.
Tune in next time to find out.
If you guys enjoyed that, be sure to find us on social at Search Bar Podcast. And my handle is I Got Shubach, IGOTSCHUPBACH across all platforms.
And if you have a question that you want answered, feel free to email us at searchbarpodcast@gmail.com. And feel free to give us a review on whatever platform you are listening to this on, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, whatever. 5 stars, please, because we like positive reinforcement. And with that, Cheyenne, do you have anything you want to share? Where can people find you? Where will you be hiding? How many hot dogs have you eaten recently?
Oh my God. I think in the past, like 3 years since I moved out of my parents' house, since I don't have the grill, I've maybe had like a total of 5 hot dogs.
Oh,
I'm
that's
sorry,
pretty
Jacob.
healthy. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. No, I gotta catch up to you. But yeah, no, nothing. You don't need to perceive me outside of this podcast. I only exist in this bubble. I'm just a floating head.
Just watch us on repeat.
Just a floating head with shoulders. Sorry.
Beautiful.
Incredible.
Well,
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
And until next time,
happy searching.
Happy searching.
Outside the Search Bar is a Perfectly Done Toast podcast production.